Hi guys, hope you're going well. So the past couple of weeks have just shown extreme volatility in the markets. We've seen silver currently at $79 US. It got as high as $120, then had a crash, which was worse than the COVID pandemic, and got absolutely crunched. We've seen gold now at 4,975, also volatile considering how big of an asset it is, and Bitcoin trading just above 70,000 right now at time of recording. But to be honest, while I'm hearing people really mix, some bullish, some bearish, you see on X some mixed news all around the park, this is a really exciting period for me as an investor. I think you should be excited about it now as well, because now is the opportunity, especially if you're in your 20s or your 30s, to be able to begin accumulating these assets at very, very good prices. We've got discounts across the board, and I believe now is the opportunity to take advantage of these discounts and be getting into the market and buying. So I've responded quietly, and I've been buying up silver once again, as well as I've been going back into Bitcoin and buying, because to be honest, I'm really excited by this, and it's just an opportunity to get these discount prices available, like going to a grocery store and getting a 2-for-1 deal. And by the end of this video, I want you to understand that if you're in your 20s and your 30s, this is an opportunity you need to take advantage of. You need to be accumulating these assets at this price before they run away any further. This is an opportunity that we all need to take, and we can't be like all the other guys who run away when things get scary. So before we start, let's go over the details of the dip, particularly in silver. So silver was doing really well. It hit $120 US, and it was considered this unbelievable asset that everybody was buying. However, the reality was that it was overbought. The RSI hit as high as 90, and we could see that something was about to happen. Then things changed. On a macroeconomic level, things started to look a bit differently. Suddenly, the chances of the US guaranteeing rate cuts disappeared, and we had the new Fed chairman come in, Kevin Warsh, who came in and basically had a slightly different stance, where suddenly the dollar had some strength to it, and the US dollar was punching back a bit. Now that sent things a bit backwards, but to make things worse, at the same time while this all happened, we had margin calls happening on trading sites and any kind of leveraged investing that was happening in silver as well as Bitcoin. Margin calls were required, and people had to pump in more money to hold their positions. All while this was happening, somehow JP Morgan managed to get a perfect short, and HSBC's trading sites actually went down. Now, you can call this a coincidence, you can call this manipulated, and the COMEX coming in again and screwing it around, but the reality is this is what's happened, and as investors, we need to be able to react. Gold and silver also responded to the news with the dollar being a bit stronger, and it tanked quite hard. BTC went down as far as 60,000 US, and gold actually dropped below $5,000. Now, a lot of people reacted negatively to this, and there might have been some panic selling, but if you're a real investor, not someone that trades, but is in it for long-term positions, like me, who wants to sit for multiple years and be able to build a strong and solid portfolio, this is an opportunity that we all need to take. Essentially, what we've got is we've got these buy-sell discounts across the board, and we've got prices down in a massive way. What this means is it means you can start accumulating these assets at a meaningful rate. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many dollars you have. You want to look at the number of ounces you can get, or the number of sats in terms of Bitcoin that you can get. And right now, you can get a lot more for the purchasing power of your dollar. And essentially, what this is two things. It's a future discount on your wallet. You're now able to buy at these prices, and your wallet is going to benefit a lot more down the line from this. And it's also going backwards in time. You're getting an opportunity where we haven't seen this for a couple of years. We haven't seen Bitcoin down this low since about March 2024. So the fact we're in 2026 and talking about these prices is a really exciting opportunity. Silver, we haven't seen a crash this bad since maybe the 80s. So this is a very special opportunity that doesn't come around every once in a while. So to give you some perspective, I want you to understand this. Let's say you were buying a house, and you were looking to save up, get a down payment for a house. Would you want the house prices to go up, or would you want them to stay down low while you're building up that down payment and then be able to make the investment? It's the same situation as right now. And I know this really hurt me this period. I'm not going to lie. I watched my portfolio take a massive hit. And, it's nice. I really want to see Bitcoin go to $500,000 or silver go to $250 US. And that really excites me, that whole opportunity. But at the same time, people want these lower prices to be able to get more investment in. And what's funny is people say all the time, oh, I wish the price was low so then I could buy more. And then the price goes down and people run away. So I know it's a fearful period for the market, but this is still something that you need to take massive opportunity with. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion and how I'm taking action. The other thing you have to remember is the fundamentals here haven't changed. Just because of a price drop and a few headlines, that doesn't change the reality of these assets. Silver right now has a huge deficit, and that's a structural issue which isn't going away anytime soon. To make things worse, the COMEX is in a very horrible situation right now. They have a lot of deliverables that they need to get done by March. We're talking millions and millions of ounces, and the reality is we don't know if they have the supply available. Now, there's mixed sources on that, and I can't guarantee that's a fact, but I do believe that even if they get through this March period, eventually they're going to get bitten on the ass. And the other thing with Bitcoin now is that we're starting to see manipulation through ETFs and paper Bitcoin. Now, this is going to, again, do the same thing with Bitcoin as it did with silver. You can try and manipulate an asset only so much before it runs off because the structural issue is the same, and that's the dollar is in a deeply bad state. Now, I want to show you a chart. It's the interest payments that the US government is required to pay on their debt. It is running away so badly that it's horrendous. The US government isn't far away from a bankrupt scenario as far as it stands. And I don't know, I know the US is an absolute powerhouse and they can probably get through this period. But the reality is that we're going to continue to lose more and more purchasing power in our dollars. If you've got any relation to the US like me from Australia, where the Australian dollar is pegged to the US dollar, the US is someone I'm keeping a careful eye on. And when I see this situation, it definitely makes me nervous. So to give you an update, here's what I've done. So when the silver price dropped, I took the opportunity when silver dipped to around 70 US and started buying up silver again. It ended up actually going further as low as $64 US, but I can't pick the market perfectly. I don't think anyone can. At the end of the day, I took this opportunity to get my dollar cost average down as much as possible and be able to get as many ounces as possible at this price. I've also resumed buying in Bitcoin, which is something I've actually been staying away with for a while. I've been really excited with metals lately, and with this run up in silver, I was really watching it carefully. But now that Bitcoin's down, I'm kind of happy with my allocation in silver right now. So I'm currently starting to buy up as much Bitcoin as I can. I'm trying to build up my wallet and just try and get as many sats as possible. Now, my portfolio did take a massive hit. That is something which nobody likes to see. However, I buy these assets not with the intent of trading it, but to hold it for at least 3 years. These are these kinds of assets where you're making the profit on the buy, not on the sell. You need to be able to get these assets at the fairest price as possible. And maybe if I looked at my portfolio on a chart, it'd look bad in the last couple of weeks, even months. But if I expand my time frame over years, I can see it continues to go up. So I ask everyone, just take a deep breath. I know this is a scary period, but take the opportunity just to go outside. This investment, your investments don't run your life. It shouldn't. The short-term moves in these assets are going to be volatile. And I believe it's going to get a lot worse. So in order to react to that, you just have to watch these markets carefully, but don't let it control your life. Make sure you're not over-investing and make sure you have money available for yourself. Don't overcommit, even though it's a dip. That doesn't mean you go in like an idiot because it could still get worse. And you have to be okay with that. Things can change in markets very quickly. Of how volatile this is, I don't know exactly what's going to happen next. For example, I saw this thesis from No Limit. He's a guy who I like to follow on X. And essentially what he's saying is he still believes the Bitcoin price could go down further based on the theory of how long it takes for Bitcoin to hit a bottom after it's halving. A halving is essentially when the rate at which Bitcoin is outputted from mining decreases, and that usually happens once every 4 years. Every 170 to 180 days after the halving, Bitcoin usually bottoms out. Now, I don't know how much I trust that thesis. I don't mind the thesis, but the market's in such a different scenario right now that I don't know what's going to happen there. I could see Bitcoin going down further. I could see it going up. I just know that at this price, I want to be buying right now. However, the main reality is still the same. The dollar is in a pretty bad situation right now, and those fundamentals are something which I don't mind. You got to use a bit of common sense when you're investing. You can do some technical analysis and look at what the graph's doing in the short term and the long term, but you got to use common sense and understand what the fundamentals are with these assets. So here's what you actually need to do in order to build wealth. You need to be buying assets. Assets are what protect you from the falling US dollar as you hold your purchasing power. Now, the best way to be able to buy your assets is to have cash flow, which is either through an income, whether you work a 9 to 5, or building your own kind of business. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to expand my income as much as possible. Right now, I do consulting where I build Power BI solutions for clients. I've got a few clients right now. I'm looking to expand that as much as possible in order to get my income higher. On top of that, I'm also trying to limit expenses where I can. Now, I'm not saying be a tight ass. At the end of the day, Valentine's Day is coming up. At time of recording, I've got a girlfriend. I've got to spend some money. Life goes on. Don't be a complete nincompoop and just hold all your money and hoard it into assets. Live a little, yeah? But try and limit stupid expenses where you can. Think about it and use some common sense here. So income and expenses need to be careful of. Any extra money that you don't need, throw it into assets like gold, silver, and Bitcoin. These are my opinion as a investor. You don't have to follow. I'm not a professional, but it's my opinion. In my opinion, personally, I don't believe the stock market is where to go right now. I believe assets are overvalued. Now, you're going to hear in another video, I do like the look of AI down the line. It's going to be something I'm going to be getting into in the future. However, it's not something I want to invest in just yet because I believe there's a bubble. So I'm just watching carefully and seeing what's happening. But if you can just slowly continue to accrue assets over time and consistently invest, look at yourself 5 years, 10 years down the line, and I'll tell you, you will be in a lot stronger of a situation compared to most people, and you will be very happy with what happens in your future. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is just my opinion. I believe this is a massive opportunity for everyone to be able to invest. Any kind of downturns like this are always scary, but you got to remember this is an opportunity. And although in the past couple of weeks it's scary, zoom out that horizon to 1, 2, 3 years down the line, and you'll be laughing at this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you take this opportunity. My name's Simply Sound Money, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. If you want to comment and you got any questions, please feel free to do it. I'm happily going to be responding to your comments, your questions, and what you think is happening in the market. I hope you enjoyed this video.